This is one of the few fully electric EV brands that's American here in Europe. This is the Cadillac Lyriq, and this is Cadillac's reboot in Europe. But how good is it? That's what I'm going to answer today in my full review. Welcome to It's Only Electric. Let's start.
It's only electric.
Cadillac calls this a mid-size SUV, but I would rather say that here in Europe we will call it a full-size SUV because it's over 5 meters long with a wheelbase of 3.1 meters. Curb weight 2,700 kilograms. It's a heavy car. And as you see, the chrome details here at the top, the chrome handles, the chrome wheels, it's the luxury version. If you go for the sport version, you will get blacked out trims, bit blacker wheels and black handles and some detail differences at the front. So it's more or less a blackout edition more than a sport edition. It's equipped with a big battery pack with a gross capacity of 102 kilowatt hours and a net capacity of 100. The WLTP range for this setup is 530 kilometers. It's all-wheel drive, so 2 permanent magnet motors putting out a combined power of 388 kilowatts, 528 horsepower and 610 newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds and a top speed of 210 kilometers per hour. Some information about the charging. Charge port placed here at the left front fender. A bit of a wobbly solution, but it looks good. DC charging, fast charging, has a capacity of up to 190 kilowatts. That's on a 400 volt charger. 10 to 80% takes around 40 minutes, or just about that, I think. That's not the quickest charge curve on the market. Maybe not according to the price tag of the car. When it comes to home charging though, AC charging, it has a top speed of 22 kilowatts. When it comes to the frontal design, Cadillac does this really good, and that also goes for the Lyriq. Very iconic but classic looking front here with the vertical light. That's the daylight running light. Next to that you have the headlight unit on a straight line downwards. On top you have a slim light, that's the hazard and signaling lights. These chrome details are unique for the luxury trim. The same goes for the closed grille. It's striped instead of having triangle shapes, so looks a bit more classy compared to the blacked out sport trim version. Otherwise, a great looking front. Unfortunately, it has a long hood, but no frunk underneath. It's running on the luxury wheels, still 21 inch as in the sport model. They are fully silver though. Sport one does have black details, but 21 inch rims, non-staggered setup, so 275/45 all around. In this case, a bit odd, but still running on Nordic studless friction tires, so it's Continental Viking contact tires. Not really the season for that. The rear design with a shark fin at the top, the air spoiler with a brake light, another air spoiler. I mean, it's a sporty looking rear here from Cadillac, but it's also a bit complicated, maybe a bit too complicated. Because, for instance, here at the side profile, we have something called a hockey stick design. I'm not a fan of that. I think it makes the car look a bit strange, makes it look a bit too complex, and it, at least for me, destroys the shape of the car, the profile of the car. Here you have the brake lights, kind of a light bar, but with a camera breaking that light bar here in the middle. This is the opener. You press that to open the boot. Backup camera, the vertical LED or daylight running lights. And when it comes to the practical aspects, let me open the boot. 793 liters of boot capacity. You have foldable seats. Unfortunately, only a split between 60 and 30, so 2 parts. There's no ski latch in the middle, so you will lose some of the practical aspects of such a big car. Underneath here, there is a lot of extra volume. You can even stow away the partial shelf divider, so you don't need to have it mounted. A 12-volt outlet and buttons here for folding both seats. And the nice thing here is that they fold very flat, so you'll have a really practical load capacity. And you can equip it with a manual tow hitch, which means that you need to bend down and connect it yourself. That's really not a premium feature. And the tow capacity is 1.6 tons. When it comes to consumption and charging, I've done that too. I have tested the charge speed, the charge curve, so 10 to 80%. I've also tested the consumption and range in 120 kilometers per hour, because I had this car for a limited amount of time, so I really wasn't able to do 2 videos, so I will incorporate those things in the summary of this video, so stay tuned for that. Let's check out the interior and the back seat. The front seat is adjusted after my driver position or seating position, and now I'm sitting straight and whoa, that was a big fly. My knees are slightly touching the rear of the front seat, and the seat seems to be fairly thick, sort of taking up a lot of space. My feet is possible to squeeze underneath the front seat, even if the front seat is in its lowest position, so plenty of room for my feet. Knees though not as good. When it comes to headroom, surprisingly, this is not that good either. There's a curtain here, so a motor and a sunshade for closing the panoramic glass roof. So that's probably taking up a lot of space here for your head, but I can't really straighten out. I'm touching the headliner, and there is 2 positions, I think, of the rear rest here. So this is the straightest position, and it's even worse. I think it's slightly better when it's reclined, but I mean, it's okay. It will be possible to put in the back seat, and 2 grown-ups, no problem. It has a 3rd climate zone here for the rear passengers, and that's controlled here from the mid console with a small screen. You also have seat heating at the 2 outer positions, 2 manual air vents, and just underneath that there is 2 USB-C ports and 1 Chuka outlet for more power needing devices. So plenty of options. Rear storage pockets, door closing sound. That's a good sound. It's solid, no rattling, fairly solid sound here. Premium door quality, and the materials is actually as good as in the front. That's always nice to see. I in particular like the door opening levers. They are in stainless steel, really high quality. Also like the built-in ambient lighting behind this ash wood decor, and a button for locking and unlocking the doors, the power window controller, the speaker grill in aluminum, storage for 2 bottles actually in the door pockets, so a premium feel to everything. So here at the front we have a nice color combination called Oxford Stone. This is Nappa leather. Goes very well hand in hand with the exterior stellar black. That's also extra, by the way. The seats heated, ventilated, and does have massage, but it has this kind of a air pillow massage, so it's not real shiatsu with hardware. It's probably only the air pillow used for the lumbar support, so it's kind of weak, and on short trips you'll probably not even notice if it's active. On long trips it may give you some back relief when driving. You control the seats by the power controls as you do in a Mercedes. On the door sides you also have the memory slots, so 3 memory slots, or 2 actually, for different driver profiles. You also have the controls of the heating and cooling at that panel. For such a premium car in this price class, I expect that you have extendable fire support. There is no function for that. They are static and they are a bit short, so they are not that supportive for me, and the angle is limited. So if you have long legs, if you're tall, these will probably not be the perfect seats for you. The backrests are a bit to the stiffer side. It has built-in speakers and you can adjust it height-wise, not the x-axis, which is a bit sad. When it comes to the speaker system, it's running AKG speakers, 19 speakers. I think it has implemented noise cancellation because the cabin is really silent. You also have double paned insulation glass here at the front and at the rear, so a silent cabin. I did some measurements coming later in this video, so stay tuned for that information. But the sound system is decent. I mean, you don't need more than that. It's okay for the car. It is not on par with the more premium systems in like the Volvo EX90 or the Polestar 3. The Bowers & Wilkins system in that one is better. It also costs more, but it's a good system. So this is not on par with that. It's a okay sound profile. It has some rattles, and the adjustments in the system is a bit limited, and it's a bit hard to get the right profile. Steering wheel, very straightforward, but it has a lot of piano finish and kind of haptic touch buttons. To the left, you have the driver assist functions. More about that soon. To the right, we have the media controls like volume, voice assistant, phone controls, etc. In front of the steering wheel, we have two stalks. To the right, you control the gears. That's the gear lever. You pull it towards you and push it upwards or downwards, depending on if you want to put it into drive or reverse. To the left, we have the light and windshield wiper controls. Just in between that stalk and the steering wheel, there is a regen paddle. Normally, we have two paddles, one on the right side, one on the left side, where you decrease and increase the regen. In this case, it's only kind of a direct regen control. So if you let go of the accelerator and you want to apply more regen, you press that instead of pressing the brake pedal. This doesn't really make sense for me, but I will demonstrate that when we take it for a drive, so more soon. On top of the steering wheel column, there is a IR camera for monitoring the driver. The big screen is a panoramic, curved 33-inch screen, but it is actually divided into three parts. So most further to the left, we have a control area where we can touch the screen, and we have different controls like light controls, you have trip information, you have another sub menu for controlling the content on the screen. You can toggle between maps, the driver assist functions, or only a clean scaled off view, gauge view. So that's the controls. You have the instrument cluster just in front of the steering wheel, and to the right we have the central media screen. This one is also a touchscreen. Nice thing though is that it's running on Android Automotive, so works good. It's fairly easy to use, but it has its limitations. I mean, it's lacking some functions. It's sometimes a bit hard to find the functions, and it's also sometimes hard to understand when the functions are available and when they are not. So for instance, it's a bit hard to find like the settings for the sound profile of the sound system. It has built-in Android Auto, despite running on Android Automotive, because you still have a very good implementation of Google Maps built in. As you see here, this is swift, it works good, it fills out the full screen. You can also replicate that view to the instrument cluster, so that is really nice. You can also replicate the car projection. So if you're running on Android Auto, you can show the Google Maps from your phone on the instrument cluster. One downside though is that the non-square screens makes it a bit hard to utilize Android Auto in full screen. So if you want to use Android Auto in full screen, then this is a bad design, because you lose a lot of screen surface. As you see here, this is all you can use for the maps. So it doesn't get bigger than this. See, and it's a bit small. But all in all, I think the screen resolution, the implementation, the software is okay, because it has functions like for charging, for instance, you can activate preconditioning of the battery pack before charging. That's always good. You have that under settings. If you press the sub menu called fast charge prep, then there you have a button for activating the battery preheating or preconditioning for fast charging, for optimizing the charge curve. And the good thing, if you use the native Google Maps function and navigate to a destination, it plans the stops for you and it preheats the battery every time, and it works really good, and you get clear messages of when it's preconditioning the battery pack, and then now you're ready for charging, etc. So that's a good implementation, and that's something that many car manufacturers don't do. Underneath the screen, there is manual air ventilation, a long horizontal one, and a control panel. This is really nice, which means that you don't need to use the screen all the time, because all the climate functions is actually represented here. Very tidy, nice touch and feel to those buttons, and I think all manufacturers should do it this way. I mean, keep it simple, don't put in too many buttons, but at least put in the most necessary ones. Underneath that, there is a hidden drawer. I mean, you can store your phone maybe. It's a bit small, but yeah, that's possible. And USB-C port, and a lot of storage here for purse. It's kind of soft, semi-soft touch. So here in the midsection, we have a control panel, also a little piano finish, but volume knob. If you press it, you mute. You have shortcuts, a rotary device, and that's actually a controller or a joystick for controlling the screen. So you don't need to stretch out. You can use this for the navigation, navigate and jump between the menus. 2 cup holders, adaptive ones. If you have a mug with a ear, you can press this down and create some extra room for that mug or cup, or just put your phone here. It will make and give you some extra room. Plenty of room here. USB-C port, 12-volt outlet. In front of that you have a deep pocket for your phone. There's the Qi charger. Very good position of the Qi charger, and it works all the time. I think this is really clever because it doesn't take up that much space. You don't see the phone, but it's still conveniently close to you, so it's easy to utilize. And next to that, another USB-C port. So 1, 2, 3 ports here at the front. That's good. And a 12-volt outlet. So good charging possibilities here at the front. Let's start off on some gravel and a bit of a bumpy road. My immediate feeling is that the cabin is silent. It's a silent car, and feels like the noise cancelling from the AQG sound system is making a difference. Also, the soundproofing, the sound insulation seems to be good. The second thing that strikes me is that it behaves fairly good at this kind of road conditions. It is not too bumpy, and the suspension seems to be silent, no strange sounds. It's equipped with kind of a standard passive suspension and dampers. It has, at some conditions, a bit of a hard time to handle the road. In lower speeds like 30, 40 kilometers per hour, harsh conditions on road bumps, etc., it seems to be a bit too stressed and not that comfortable. In higher speeds, like motorways, that was an example. I don't know if you heard the sound, but it feels a bit unsophisticated on bumps, over bumps. Now in a bit of a higher speeds, it's better. Now I'm driving like 80, but when you drive it even faster, like real highway speeds, over 100, like 120, 130, then it gets a bit too soft, a bit too boaty. It feels that it has a bit of a hard time to handle the weight of the car. So I'm a bit surprised that Cadillac avoided to use their own Magna Ride, because I think that the active damper system should have made sense on such a heavy and premium car. Check out the drive modes. Here in the menus, we swipe to the right and we have something called drive modes. There is no shortcut for changing or toggling the drive modes. You can probably use your voice to do that, but there is a couple of drive modes. First one is called Tour. It is, as it sounds, more suitable for highway driving. You have Sport, Snow and Ice, and then you have your individual customizable mode called My Mode. I always love when they incorporate or add My Modes, or the possibility to adapt to your driving experience and needs. So let's start off with the Tour and see how it behaves. Acceleration wise, it's more or less building up the power. It's more of a combustion engine. You also get the sound. They call it the V8 sound. I mean, it doesn't sound like a V8, but it's a subtle sound that mimics a engine. But it builds up the power like the hockey stick formation. If you move on to Sport, it's more direct. It is not that super punchy as you get in some EVs. It is really not the performance feel. And for having such many horsepower, it's still not really that quick. I mean, 5.3 seconds, it's a big difference if you compare it to similar cars in the same size class that does the same sprint in 3.8 or 3.9 or 4 seconds flat. It's a really big difference, and that's noticeable in the acceleration curve. Sport is a bit more aggressive. It also stiffens up the steering a little bit. Yeah, so in Tour you get the softer steering. In Sport you get, it's a bit more direct. It doesn't need as much wheel movement, but the suspension behaves the same. It's leaning. I mean, it's a bit too soft in the body roll. Snow and Ice, there's nothing to try here. I think that's more towards handling icy and slippery conditions. So it's acceleration-wise more in line with Tour. And if we check the My Mode, where we can configure and set the different settings, the first setting we have is steering. We have two modes, Tour and Sport. And as I said, this in Sport it's a bit more direct. It's a bit stiffer, needs a bit more torque to steer the car. I like it that way. You have something called brake feel. Same there, you have Tour and Sport. And then you have acceleration. You have three different modes. You have relaxed, you have Tour, and you have Sport. Yeah, so the feel is like small, medium, large, or slow, quick, super quick. It's really three different steps, and you feel the difference between all of them. Then you have the motor sound. You have something called Sport, and you have Tour. So if you put it into Tour, that's the sound. If you put it into Sport, I don't really hear the difference. No, it's a slight difference maybe, but very, very subtle change. So that's actually the things you can configure when it comes to the drive mode. Let us move over to the regenerative braking, the recuperation. The nice thing is that the Lyriq has one pedal driving. And that's one of my biggest things that I always mention, that I always wish that all manufacturers use. That's one pedal driving, OPD. This one has it, and it has a couple of different modes. So there's a shortcut on the screen for activating or deactivating the one pedal driving. Now it's inactive, so I let go of the accelerator and it just coasts like a regular combustion car. I activate it, it's set to normal. There is a couple of different levels, so you have off, normal, high, and you have the option to show that on the home screen as I just showed you. I prefer it on normal, strangely, because normally I want maximum regen all the time, but it's fairly aggressive on normal. So as soon as I let go of the accelerator, it comes without any delay. It comes immediately, and if you are a bit too quick on your right foot, the accelerator, it will make people seasick. So if you put it into high, it is even more aggressive. And this is also one part where you feel that you are missing the active dampers, because it's really not in a lot. So the front is really digging down to the asphalt, towards the road. It will get you seasick if you don't use it right. So therefore I like it on normal, because both in normal and in high, it comes to a full stop. So if I let go of the accelerator now, it's slowing down, and now we have a full stop. Very smooth stop, and it puts in the friction brakes at the end to hold the car steady, stationary. A great one pedal driving. So normal is my recommendation to go for. You have one more thing when it comes to regen, and this is something that I have a bit of a hard time understanding why you have it. The only thing I can come up with is if you drive it on off, the OPD setting, then you coast, and then you may want to add recuperation because you're closing into a stoplight, traffic light, or a road sign that lowers the speed limit. Then you may want to use the paddle on the left, because now I'm coasting, but if I press that one, it starts recuperating, and you can also press it to come to a full stop. And you do that without even touching the friction brakes. For the use case of the paddle to the left may only make sense when driving it on no recuperation or one pedal driving off, because then you can, in specific cases, add regen to adapt to traffic around you. For instance, on a highway, someone is driving slow, you need to slow down. Then instead of using the friction brakes, you can add the recup from the paddle. Yeah, it is still adding recuperation when you use the braking pedal. So it acts like a brake pedal. So we have like two of them. But it's sometimes maybe easier to just use your foot to control that, because you have it in your muscle memory. It's easier to use the foot than to remember to use this recup button. Maybe some of you guys know a better use case for this. Please let me know in the comments below. Another thing is the driver assist functions in the Lyriq. It's a bit of a disappointment because you don't have this super cruise available in Europe. The only thing that exists is a traditional speed limit assist with distance control. So it doesn't have this self-steering capability, so it doesn't keep you in the lane. It does not work like Tesla's autopilot or all the other systems that all the other manufacturers bring to the table. Cadillac does not have that in Europe. That's very sad to see, because in this price class, that should really be standard. So what I do is that I press the speed limit holder and I activate it by using the steering wheel, and it does not always make sense to activate it, but now it's active. It's keeping the speed limit, and that's all. You still need to steer. What it has though that's a bit different, and that's the vibrations in the seat. What it does is that when something approaches you from the side, for instance, in lower speed or when stationary, it vibrates. So if someone comes up of your right side of the car, then the right side of the seat vibrates to warn you that, okay, something is happening on the right. And the same thing, of course, on the left side. So it's vibrating left or right. And it is also vibrating when I am distracted or when I drive by mistake on the lines. So now it vibrates. I'm touching the right lines on the road and it vibrates, tick, tick, and then it pushes me back into the lane. Same thing goes for the left side. Yeah, so it vibrates when I pass the line or touch it. Then it pushes me back into the lane. So that's a safety feature. So on highways, like this kind of driving, empty roads, not that much traffic, it makes sense. Helps you to like wake up and like get focused. But when driving in dense traffic, city driving for instance, with bicycles, people walking around, cars, it vibrates all the time. And then it comes to a point where you really can't distinguish for what reason it's vibrating. And at that point it gets annoying instead of helpful. I wish there was a quick function for like turn that off in city traffic instead of fiddling around in the menus, because it makes sense on highway driving but not in city driving. So let us talk about the price point of the Lyriq. Starting price is 970,000 Swedish crowns, and here in Europe we don't get all the trim levels, so the entry-level car is the long-range version with the big battery pack, all-wheel drive. The only thing we only currently can choose is the different trims, and that's sport or luxury, where the only actual difference is the exterior looks. I mean, sport is more blacked out compared to the luxury that has more chrome. That's more or less it. This specific car costs 1,020,000 Swedish crowns. And that's 85,000 euros compared to the entry price of 81,000 euros. So it has the exterior color and the seats, the Nappa leather is extra. Otherwise, you get everything as a standard in the trim levels here in Europe. For that price, you can get a lot of alternatives. So the price point is high. But Cadillac also seems to be, at least want to play in the premium segment. And that may be the right strategy. When it comes to charging, as I said, it has a 400 volt system with a peak speed of 190 kilowatts. I tested that 10 to 80%. Top speed I saw was below 190. I think it was like 185 or something like that. But it started to taper quicker than expected. When it comes to cabin noise, I actually measured the cabin noise the way I always do on the same road. So I put a microphone in head height at the passenger side and measure speeds between at 50, 70, 90 and 110 kilometers per hour. I close the curtain to lower or muffle the noise level in the cabin, and it scored pretty good. But keep in mind that it's running on studless winter tires, and they tend to be a bit more silent, especially when it's hot outside, because the rubber is very, very soft. So take it with a grain of salt. I think it will be a bit more noisy if you put on the summer tires on it. But compared to other cars, it's more silent than the Polestar 3. As you see here, 1.5 decibel or 2 decibels almost. But then the Polestar is running on summer tires, so that may be the only difference. It's also more silent than the ID.7 Tourer and the Neo EL6. It's more noisy though than the EL7 from Neo, but also the EQE SUV, that's a silent car, and the most silent one tested until now is the Xpeng G9. That's still king of the hill. It's the most silent one. But all in all, the Lyriq is a silent car. It's a silent cabin, and it's comfortable in that manner. I mean, dual pane windows both here in the front and at the back. The glass, the roof, and the front windshield, all of them are insulated and acoustic glass, so it's silent and the insulation seems to be good. I also did a range test, the 120 kilometers per hour range test that I usually do on the same stretch of roads. It is a efficient car when driving. It's slow and steady. Then you can reach down to consumption numbers around 15 or 16 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That's really good for such a big car. In this highway test, it did consume 28.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. I think that's slightly higher than the Volvo EX90. So not that impressive, because I mean the silhouette of the car, as you see, it's low. The roofline is low. It's more aerodynamic and should be more efficient. That translates into a high-speed range of 350 kilometers. Compared to the stated WLTP range, that's 66%. And that's fairly low, but still okay. I mean, 250 kilometers of range in those conditions is okay, I guess. I was expecting maybe a couple of kilometers more, like closer to 400 at least, but it is not that bad actually. So it is definitely a car for long trips, but the biggest downside, as I see it, is the charge curve. It takes a bit too long to charge it. So the things that annoys me, that I want them to change, or that I expect from a Cadillac or a premium EV. First off, a very small thing, that's how Cadillac has chosen to report the consumption. You have the report here to the left of the screen, and it reports the efficiency in kilometers per kilowatt hours instead of kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. That makes it really hard to, like, in your brain process that information if you're used to other numbers and you need to pull up the calculator and see how much the actual consumption really are, because it's really the opposite way around. So they should just adapt to the rest of the manufacturers and adapt and adjust to the regular numbers, the regular standard of measuring efficiency. Another thing that I miss is active dampers, at least, or a air suspension, because it tends to get a bit too harsh sometimes, and in highways gets a bit too soft and stressed somehow. It's really not perfectly optimized for the car. I think there is really room left for improvements here. Active dampers, I mean, add the MagnaRide, please. And the last point that disappoints is the practicality. I mean, there is no load latch in the midsection of the back seat. You can only split it in two parts, which means that you lose a lot of practicality if you want to load the car with skis, etc. Then you will lose a whole seating spot, and you will only be able to sit one person at the back. So that's a bit odd. Tow capacity is not that great either. And on top of that, the back seat is not what I expected. It's a bit narrow and short compared to the exterior dimensions of the car. That may be due to the long hood. I mean, it has a longer hood than average. You see that on the silhouette of the car. It's more a combustion engine design when it comes to the exterior looks of it. And I guess that's by purpose, but it eats up a lot of interior space actually. And to the good things, it seems to be an attractive car to look at, because a lot of people, especially middle-aged men, are stopping and looking at the car. That happens all the time. Classy, at the same time sporty, but in the classy way, and this black color really suits the car. Looks a bit luxurious, I would say. And you can tell that by seeing the people looking at it. So if you're after a silent cabin, decent range, a good looking car in a classical way, this would be a good option instead of a Polestar 3, for instance, because the silhouette is fairly similar. The size of the car, the interior space is a good match. So if you want a more classic looking car, classic looking brand, this may be a good suitable car for you. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, and engage. Write comments, ask me questions, share your thoughts about the Cadillac Lyriq. And as always, stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.